What's up YouTube, Dumux here, and today I'm bringing you guys my review on God of War, the 8th installment of the action-adventure God-slaying series. However, unlike the previous games which were set in Greek mythology, this game takes place in Norse mythology, along with major gameplay changes to revamp the series for the next generation. So without further ado, let's get into it.
She's ready.
The story of God of War takes place many years after the events of God of War 3, with Kratos and his son Atreus setting off on a journey to fulfill Kratos' second wife and Atreus' mother's promise, which is to spread her ashes at the highest peak of the 9 realms. Along their journey they'll encounter monsters and gods of the Norse world, as well as Kratos trying to keep his troubled past a secret from his son, which may end up doing more damage than good. And I gotta say, this new God of War easily has the most compelling story out of all the games thus far, with the struggle of Kratos trying to be a better father towards Atreus.
There are consequences to killing a god!
Why? How do you know? How do you know?
Watch your tone, boy.
The various character interactions, not just between Kratos and Atreus, but with Brock and Sindri, who are dwarves you encounter throughout the game and provide a good amount of comic relief, the Witch in the Woods, and Mimir, who claims to be the smartest man alive and provides some of the best expositional and comedic dialogue throughout the game.
What do we do?
Yes!
First, you need to cut off my head.
Wait, what?
Along with no camera cuts throughout the entire story to make the game feel more cinematic. Unless you die, of course.
Father, get up!
And when it comes to gameplay, forget everything you know about the previous God of War games. This new God of War features a third-person, over-the-shoulder, free camera view, making the world of God of War feel larger than ever. Kratos' new default weapon is the Leviathan Axe, which is infused with ice elemental magic. The axe can be used to chop through your enemies, thrown as projectile, and can be summoned back to Kratos' hand like Thor when he uses Mjolnir, which I have to say is one of the most satisfying things you can do in the game. But if you want to get more personal with your kills, you can always use your bare hands. Brutal executions guaranteed, as well as using a shield to block enemy attacks. Speaking of combat, Kratos has a variety of options when charging into battle, by being able to pull off a mixture of combos with his axe, fist, and shield, as well as the return of his Spartan Rage, which allows Kratos to unleash his godlike power by making him invincible and dealing a heavy amount of damage over a short amount of time. There will also be moments in God of War where Kratos and Atreus will have to solve puzzles from time to time, which is a good change of pace from all the hacking and slashing. Speaking of the boy, Atreus, he's quite a useful companion. Watch out, Ellie, you got competition. If I ever need to take out enemies from a distance, Kratos can just command Atreus to shoot his arrows at the target. Or if I need a better understanding of Norse mythology, Atreus is there to translate or provide a quick summary of what's going on.
Yeah! Mom said he's friendly!
God of War also introduces a good amount of RPG elements to the game, which includes customizing and upgrading Kratos and Atreus' armor and runic attacks, which are a grind to level up, but are worth it when going up against tougher enemies. And even though Kratos is a god, don't underestimate your enemies in this game, especially if you're low level, because they can put up a fight. And when it comes to boss battles, I would have liked more variety with the bosses, but at the end of the day, if I'm fighting 10 trolls in a row, it would still be satisfying to kill every single one. And I will say the game is open world-esque. I was actually surprised how massive this game was, especially Midgard. That's where it really feels like an open world game, but when you get into the other realms, it is a little bit more linear, but there is a lot of places to explore within the different realms, trust me on that. And there is a good amount of endgame content after completing the main story, which includes trial missions, discovering new gear, abilities, and new enemies to fight. Plus they just added photo mode, so get to making the best Kratos selfie you can. Overall, I have to say God of War is one of the best games to come out of the PlayStation 4's life cycle. It's a definite must-have if you're a PlayStation owner. The story is compelling, the action is smooth, epic, and brutal. The game is visually stunning from the character models, the architecture, the wildlife, and all the effects that make this Norse mythology come to life. There's a good amount of replay value after being the main story. I have to say this is my favorite God of War in the series, and I can't wait for the next installment.
Can you kill something that big?
So I'm going to give God of War a 9.5 out of 10. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about God of War. Is this your favorite game in the series? And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps me out. Subscribe for more content from me on God of War and other games in general. I'm Dumux. I'll see you in the future.